She ignored your messages. She vanished without a trace. Now suddenly, she's back. A ping, a hey. But this time, you won't fold. This time, you won't react. Because you're about to learn what few men on this planet truly understand. What she's really doing when she reaches out after going quiet. What it reveals about your value in her mind. And how one wrong move can bury your dignity forever. But there's a way to flip the entire game in your favor. Not with games, not with manipulation, but with pure, unshakable inner power. If you're ready to stop chasing, start leading, and finally become the man she never saw coming, keep watching. This video isn't just another dating hack. It's a message for every man who has ever felt overlooked, ghosted, or disrespected, and is tired of feeling like he has to beg to be valued. Comment below, "I choose clarity." Let the world see that you're done playing defense. Number 1. She's not reaching out because she misses you. She's not contacting you because she suddenly realized how much you mean to her, or because she's been spending every night crying into her pillow, overwhelmed by regret. She's reaching out because your absence created a vacuum where her certainty used to be. She was once so sure you would always be there, waiting, hoping, aching for her attention, that you would drop everything the second she threw a crumb your way. And when you didn't, when your energy disappeared from her radar and her control over you started to fade, she felt something she never expected: uncertainty. This isn't romance, it's reaction. It's not about love, it's about power. You changed the script. You stopped playing your role in the dynamic she had written in her head. You broke her pattern, not with words, not with games, but with presence withdrawn. That shift, that distance, that emotional space you created by simply choosing yourself over the endless cycle of trying to be enough for someone who never chose you fully. That is what triggered her message. Not because she truly misses your essence, but because she misses the version of you who handed over his power every time she called. When she reaches out now, it's not about reconnection, it's about revalidation. She needs to know if she still has access to your soul. She needs to know if her emotional leash is still wrapped around your decisions. And if you answer her right away, if you fall back into old rhythms of chasing and pleasing, she'll know nothing has changed. She'll know her grip remains intact. And all your growth was just a pause, not a transformation. But if you stay still, not as a tactic, but as a truth, if you let her message be what it is without needing it to mean anything more than it does, you speak louder than any reply ever could. Because true transformation doesn't announce itself, it just is. The man who has found peace within himself, who has built a life so rich with purpose and presence that no one can pull him from it with a single, "Hey," that man doesn't need closure or confirmation. He doesn't need to explain his silence or prove his value. His existence becomes the proof. His discipline becomes the message. His lack of reaction becomes the wall she cannot climb. When you stop reaching back, not from spite, but from self-respect, you communicate something rare and magnetic. You are no longer available for cheap validation. You've evolved past the need to convince anyone of your worth. She will sense this. She may even panic quietly, realizing she's no longer the center of your orbit, that her absence didn't break you, it rebuilt you. That kind of strength, that kind of unshakable peace, is not just rare, it's irresistible. And it's not about getting her back, it's about never needing her back to feel whole again. Number 2. Your attention was her validation. Every time you double-texted, every time you begged for answers, every time you apologized, just to keep her from walking away, even when you weren't the one at fault. You weren't being kind or loyal or loving. You were feeding her validation. You were becoming her emotional supply line. And she didn't even have to earn it. She just had to exist in your world, and suddenly you gave her all your energy, all your time, all your heart, like it was hers by default. That wasn't love. That was fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of losing the one person you thought saw your worth. But the truth is, she saw your need long before she saw your value. She knew she could make you wait, make you ache, make you feel small, and you'd still be there with open arms. Because your attention wasn't a gift, it was a currency you handed over for free. And she spent it like it cost nothing. Every time you jumped to reply, every time you forgave without change, every time you explained yourself in paragraphs just to keep her interested, she learned that she could ignore, delay, and vanish, and you'd still come back. That taught her something dangerous, that your presence could be taken for granted. She didn't need to offer consistency or clarity because you never required it. Your validation became her emotional safety net, not because she loved you, but because she loved how you made her feel about herself. But when you finally took that energy back, when you stopped giving without receiving, when you no longer reacted the way she expected, her sense of control began to crumble. That's what brought the message. That's what sparked the "I miss you" or the sudden interest. Not regret, not depth, just the sting of losing a resource she assumed would always be there. And now, she wants to check if that door is still open. But the man who has rebuilt himself, who no longer confuses love with approval, who no longer gives access to his soul without discernment, that man doesn't answer the door just because someone knocks. He knows what his attention is worth now. He knows that validation isn't something others extract from him. It's something he guards, something he gives with wisdom, not with need. And when you live from that truth, when your attention becomes something earned, not assumed, you shift the entire dynamic of how people treat you. You teach the world how to treat you by what you tolerate. You teach her what you believe you're worth by how quickly you respond to breadcrumbs. So hold your ground, not to punish her, but to protect yourself, because your energy is sacred. And when you finally see that, the game doesn't just change, it ends, and you walk away, not bitter, not angry, but elevated, whole, unreachable, and truly free. Number 3, do nothing and say everything. When you receive that message from her out of nowhere, your body might betray you, your heart may pound, your thoughts may race, your hand may twitch toward your phone. But that is precisely the moment that defines who you truly are now. Because it's not about what she says or how long it's been. It's about who you have become in the time that passed without her, and whether the man you've been building will crumble for a glimpse of the past. You must understand this. Your lack of reaction is not empty space. It is presence. It is depth. It is the thunderous power of restraint, of being so grounded in your worth, your path, your purpose, that a random message cannot shake your foundation. This is not detachment. It is alignment. You're not ignoring her because you want to prove a point. You're not withholding a reply to play a game. You are simply too full of your mission to be interrupted by ambiguity. You've outgrown the need for attention that comes wrapped in confusion. Imagine her typing out that message, unsure if it will land. She expects the old version of you, the one who replied within seconds, who gave her reassurance even when she didn't deserve it, who poured validation into the void. But this time, there is no answer. Not because you're angry, not because you're hurt, but because there is nothing more to say. Your life has become too valuable to pause for questions that never had answers. You no longer give explanations to people who disappeared when you needed consistency. And so you continue, lifting weights, finishing your work, learning new skills, laughing with friends, becoming a man who commands gravity. That message from her, It loses meaning the moment you realize you have no need to decode it. You don't need to read between the lines because you've stepped out of the entire book. You are writing a new chapter, one where your emotional focus is reserved for people who choose you with clarity and presence, not passive curiosity. And the world responds to that man differently. Doors open. People respect him. Even she, the one who once kept him guessing, now feels the chill of her fading influence. And if you do reply, it is not because you feel pressured. It is because you have weighed the cost, measured the energy it requires, and decided it serves your direction. That kind of strength, that kind of choice, is rare. It makes a man unforgettable. So when the message arrives and the temptation creeps in, pause. Breathe. Look at the man in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I now? If the answer is someone you admire, then you already know what to do. Because stillness is not weakness, it is evidence. It proves you are no longer driven by old patterns, but by a new standard. You don't have to say a word. Your lack of reaction says everything. Number 4, stop needing closure. Create it. The deepest wound many men carry is not the breakup itself, but the lack of understanding that follows. The sudden vanishing of someone who once made them feel seen, the unexplained distance, the shift from intimacy to indifference. And in that void, the mind tries to make sense of what went wrong, what could have been done differently, what she might be thinking now. But this hunger for closure is a trap, one disguised as healing, but rooted in control. Because true closure was never hers to give. It was yours to claim. Waiting for her to return with an apology, an explanation, a moment of truth where everything makes sense, that keeps you bound to a version of yourself that still needs her approval to move forward. And that man remains frozen in time, replaying memories, analyzing messages, stuck in a loop that only breaks when he realizes that closure is not a conclusion, it's a decision. It's choosing to let go, not because you understand everything, but because you've chosen peace over clarity. Think about the hours, days, months you've spent trying to fill the gap she left. What if all that time had been invested in building your vision, your health, your empire? What if the real answer you needed wasn't why she left, but what you're going to do with the life she no longer influences? The truth is, many people exit not because they're right or noble or even honest, but because they never had the courage to face the depth of what they were running from. And you can't force them to explain what they never understood themselves. So instead of waiting for her to come back and tie up the emotional loose ends, pick up the thread yourself. Write the story forward. Define the meaning of the past by how you rise in the present. Turn her absence into your permission slip to rebuild stronger. Set boundaries so high that confusion can't climb them. Surround yourself with people who don't require guesswork. Create structure in your day. Build habits that honor your future. Write your thoughts. Confront your pain. Heal not by forgetting, but by learning. Closure comes when you stop waiting for the person who hurt you to fix the damage and start realizing you were always the one holding the power to heal. That doesn't mean it won't hurt. It just means the pain won't rule you anymore. It means you finally take back your pen and write the ending she never gave you. And in that act of self-authorship, you become untouchable. Because when a man no longer needs permission to move on, he becomes a force. And the world can feel that. So stop staring at the door she left open. Build a life so meaningful that even if she ever returns, she finds a man so transformed, he no longer fits the version of you she once knew. That is closure. That is freedom. And that only you can give to yourself. Number 5. Become the man she can't reach anymore. There comes a point in every man's life when he must ask himself, who am I becoming? Not based on who left, not based on who stayed, but based on who I've decided to be, regardless of anyone else's presence. When she reaches out again, when she suddenly reappears as if no time has passed, it's tempting to believe it's fate. It's tempting to think maybe she finally sees your worth. Maybe the pain meant something. Maybe now is the right time. But that fantasy is dangerous, because in most cases, what she sees isn't your worth. It's your distance. What she feels isn't guilt. It's the discomfort of no longer being the center of your world. And when you let that discomfort pull you back into her orbit, you undo all the progress you made by stepping out of it. The man you're becoming is not defined by how he responds to a woman who once ghosted him. He is defined by what he builds in her absence. You see, men often believe that strength is shown through reaction, texting back to show confidence, engaging again to prove you're over it. But real strength is the absence of reaction. Real power is choosing peace over validation. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about actually being hard to reach, because your time, your energy, your soul have become too expensive for people who paid nothing to hurt you. You don't have to block her. You don't have to rage at her. You don't even have to explain why you're different now. You simply have to continue. You wake up early. You hit the gym with discipline. You build income streams. You read. You journal. You sharpen your mind and body because you understand that being unrecognizable is the greatest revenge. Not to hurt her, not to show off, but because the man you were before, the one who tolerated mixed signals, who waited by his phone, who lowered his standards just to feel something close to connection, that man had to be buried for you to be born. You no longer chase. You don't even pause. You are in pursuit of a life that excites you, a purpose that drives you, a mission that outshines any woman's temporary attention. And that life becomes so rich, so powerful, so magnetic, that she can feel it even if you never say a word. She senses the shift. She feels the gap where she used to hold sway. She realizes too late that your soul is no longer for sale. And maybe she tries harder. Maybe she sends more messages. Maybe she even apologizes. But by then it's not about her anymore. It's about you. It's about the peace you found when you stopped needing her to validate your growth. It's about the joy you discovered when your nights became filled with vision instead of confusion. It's about the way your shoulders carry more than muscle now. They carry responsibility, legacy, and leadership. And if she ever crosses paths with you again, she won't recognize you. Not because you've changed your style or posted motivational quotes, but because your entire presence has evolved beyond her access. You've stepped into a new reality, one where your boundaries are unshakable, your focus is razor sharp, and your value is no longer a question, it's a standard. And that is the man she can't reach anymore, not because he vanished, but because he rose. Number 6, protect your value like it's gold. Because once you give it away too freely, people stop treating it like it ever meant anything to begin with. And that's the hidden truth no one wants to say out loud. The moment your energy becomes easily available, your worth starts to fade in the eyes of those who never truly valued it in the first place. And this isn't just about relationships. It's about how the world responds to a man who doesn't guard his focus, his time, his effort. You see, when you constantly show up for people who left you unread, when you give second chances to someone who never gave a full effort the first time, when you pour your soul into places that once rejected it without hesitation, you are teaching them that your value can be rented, sampled, and tossed aside. Every moment you spend chasing approval is a deposit into someone else's ego account, not an investment into your own growth. And it may feel like love, it may feel like loyalty, but it's more like slowly selling pieces of your dignity for the hope that one day they'll see what they missed. But that's the lie, because people only miss what they were never allowed to misuse. The truth is, those who truly recognize your value don't wait until you're gone to act right. They show up from the start, consistently, with respect. So when you get that message from her, that casual attempt to see if you're still within reach, you have to ask yourself, have I been valuing myself like gold or handing myself out like loose change? Because this is where the path splits. If you respond instantly, if you show her you're still there at her convenience, you confirm that her absence never had consequence, that she can leave, reappear, and you'll respond with the same warmth, the same hope, the same eagerness as if nothing happened. But if you pause, if you reflect, if you consider what version of her is reaching out, and whether that version aligns with the life you're building, then you're not just protecting your value, you're raising it. Not by punishing her, not by playing hard to get, but by simply honoring the worth you've spent months, maybe years, rediscovering. Protecting your value doesn't mean hiding from connection. It means filtering it. It means learning to say no to what drains you, even if it once made you feel alive. It means being unavailable to chaos, unreceptive to breadcrumbs, unmoved by old patterns. And when you start doing that, you'll notice something powerful. You'll notice fewer people waste your time. You'll attract a different kind of respect, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. You'll find yourself surrounded by people who choose you with intention, who show up because they see your time as a privilege, not a placeholder. This is the difference between existing and leading, between reacting and reigning, between being chosen and choosing yourself. Because gold doesn't chase. Gold doesn't explain. Gold waits in stillness, knowing its worth is not determined by how many hands want to touch it, but by how few ever get to. So protect yourself like gold, not from fear, but from wisdom, from experience, from the pain that once taught you what happens when you open yourself to people who only came to take. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear about your standards, clear about your boundaries, clear about the future you're building that cannot be compromised by nostalgia. So when you get that message, when that past knocks at your door dressed as an innocent, "How are you?" remember, access to you is earned now. Your peace, your presence, your energy, that's premium. And not everyone deserves a subscription. Live like that. Lead with that. And you won't just protect your value, you'll multiply it. Most men will hear this truth and ignore it. They'll reply to her message. They'll fold back into the comfort that once left them empty. And they'll wake up years from now with regret in their chest and no peace in their soul. But not you, not anymore. Because if you've felt even a flicker of what I said, if any part of this made your gut tighten or your chest ache, then you already know this isn't just a video. This is your call to clarity. So if you're done explaining your worth, done repeating cycles that steal your power, and done letting people come and go like your time means nothing, comment below. No more free access. Then, like this video, hit subscribe and help another man find this message before he replies to someone who once made him feel invisible. And for those who are ready to go deeper, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook is now available to the public, but not for long. You'll find the link pinned in the comments, but don't wait. This isn't just a guide, it's a survival manual for your future. The cost of not reading it is living the same chapter on repeat while your life passes you by. Take the knowledge, break the cycle, protect your value, and never look back.